You have a vision where you need money, but capitalism is bad. How do we reconcile those two things?
What do I need to do what it is that I'm called to do in the world with ease and love?
And we have been taught that in order to be moral, you also have to not do well. Yes. We understand struggle to also equal morality, and I refuse to live in that way.
Because the person who told you money was bad, it benefits them for you to not have money. If you are from a historically excluded background, you having wealth is radical in and of itself.
Yeah.
And something that people ask me all the time is, Rachel, don't you have enough money? Is anybody asking Jeff Bezos that question? I'm just curious. And I tell them,
you want to make more money? You are in the right place. Welcome to the Hello Seven podcast. That's seven as in seven figures. I'm your host, Rachel Rodgers.
Listen, we're gonna talk to you about your coins, okay? Let's talk about your money and your feelings and your thoughts about your money and everything that is in the way of you getting your money, okay? So that's what we're gonna talk about this morning. I am so excited to talk to both of you. These are my friends who I've had this conversation with behind closed doors, so I'm so excited that they agreed to have this conversation with all of you. So I wanna start with you, Sonya. Tell me, what does it mean to be in right relationship with money? Because you taught me this, and it was so liberating for me. So tell me, what does that mean to you?
For me, right relationship is really about understanding my why. And I've talked about this before. I say all the time, it's very rarely about what we're doing, and it's almost always about why.
Yes.
And if I can understand the why of what's motivating my decisions around money, then that tells me whether or not I'm in right relationship. Because right relationship is a relationship of dignity. Mm-hmm. It's a relationship rooted in an ethos of abundance, in the sense that, like, life on its, before we came and started, can I cuss?
Yes.
Yes.
You.
Before, thanks.
Do what you gotta do.
Let me just check in first. Before we came and started fucking shit up, life was always offering us exactly what we needed in relationship to what we needed, right? There is a cycle. There is a cycle to when things bloom. There was a cycle to when things died. There was a cycle to harvest, a cycle to plant. And if we were in relationship in the appropriate way, then we always had exactly what we needed, right? And so, but until we started saying, but I should have more, and not more from the sense of like, I should have more so we can provide more. I should have more so that I can hoard more, because that's how I'm understanding my sense of worthiness.
Yes.
Right? I'm acquiring and amassing because that's the only way that I know that I'm enough, right? That's what's thrown us out of balance with right relationship, right? Because when I'm in right relationship, I don't need to hoard to know I'm enough. I have enough.
Yes.
Right? Enough.
And I am enough.
And I am enough.
Yes.
Right? I am enough. And so I don't need to amass my internal value from external things.
Yes.
Right? And that doesn't mean, it doesn't mean we don't have things, right? It doesn't mean we don't acquire things. It means that the reason that I'm acquiring is not to try to fill a bottomless hole.
Yes.
Which then means you can never acquire. It's an impossible task.
Exactly.
Right? But my right relationship says, if I start this from the assumption that I'm enough, then the question is, what do I need to do what it is that I'm called to do in the world with ease and abundance and love?
Yes.
And that gets me to a different location.
Yes, it absolutely does.
Yeah.
So Rachel, tell us, what are your thoughts on that? Like on being in right relationship with money in your own life?
I think very much so in alignment with what you're saying. Being in alignment with money really is being in alignment with ourselves, because a lot of times the things that we're chasing is an outside understanding of success, an outside understanding of enough, an outside understanding of what we want or need. And so when we're in relationship with ourselves and we understand, actually, my preference isn't a big house. I actually would prefer a small cabin on a mountain somewhere. Then our relationship with money isn't just chasing what might be available out there. We're actually just going for what we want. And we have to know what we want to be going towards what we want. And so I think that relationship with money primarily starts with a little bit of self-evaluation, because we will exhaust ourselves if we are running around and looking to like grab anything we can when those things that we're grabbing aren't even what we want. I talk a lot about not wanting to have children. And what that means for me is instead of spending so much of my time or my effort doing a lot of the things that someone who wants to have children has to do in order to like safeguard their finances.
I'm familiar with those things. Yes. There's a lot of those things.
I can instead say, okay, with my disposable income, which I might not need as much as a parent would need, I can use it to buy summer camp for my friends' kids. I can use it to do all the back to school shopping. And it really puts me, being in relationship with myself, allows me to be in relationship with my money. And I don't have to just hope that, I get this downfall or work myself to death trying to get to a point that actually isn't even where I want to be.
Exactly.
We often say, well, something that I've heard and that I've repeated often is stop taking direction from people who aren't going where you want to go.
Yes.
Correct.
Yes.
And so often I take the time to decide my own directions and to be in relationship with people who are going where I want to go. And I don't have to put my time and effort, energy, ego, emotions into spaces that actually don't even align with my story or my own personal money story.
Yes.
It makes me think immediately of just like this question of, because what you were saying is like, don't follow people who aren't going where you want to go, but you got to know where you want to go, right? And so the question is, whose dream are you living in?
Yes.
Right? And we live in a world that'll give you a dream. It's already sold you a dream. It's already told you, here's what it is that it means to be successful. We've already written the script. We made it look the way we said it should look.
Yes.
That's what you should do. And so often, again, in this conversation of right relationship, we are moving based off of a script we were handed.
Yes.
Right? And the invitation is to trash that script.
Correct.
Right? And sit down in your own writer's room, also known as your internal self.
Yes.
And then be like, what is the vision that I have for my life that is true and real? And how do I write that script and then live into that script?
Absolutely right. Exactly. Now, if that script and your vision for your life requires money, which it does for so many of us, right?
It probably does.
Like for me, I want a big house, right? I have to have a big house because I love to gather people. I love to invite people over. I love to entertain.
You also have 11 kids.
I do have 11 kids. That's true. They gotta sleep somewhere. So because of that, like, I need money for that, right? So if you have a vision where you need money, and so you're saying, I'm gonna become a business person, I'm gonna make money so I can make this vision happen, but capitalism is bad, and I hate our government, and I hate our systems that we live within. How do we reconcile those two things? Because I think that's what some of the folks struggle with. And then what happens is they kill their own dreams, they kill that vision because that vision requires money and they think money is bad, right? Because that's what we've always been taught. Money is bad, right? Who taught us money was bad?
Who told you that?
Who told you money was bad? Think about that, right? Because the person who told you money was bad, it benefits them for you to not have money. It benefits them for you to work in their factory for 12 hours a day, right? Rather than have your own thing. So you have to remember, like, where did this story, what is the origin of this story, and do I need to rewrite this story so that it is actually in aligned with my vision? So I know that was a long, convoluted question, but how do you answer that? How do we reconcile fueling our dream and having money for our dreams, and also knowing that we are, it feels out of our values to be aligned with some of the systems that we live within that have historically excluded us, right? And minimized us and stolen our dreams, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, for me, the question is always, money is neutral.
Yes.
Money is neutral, period. It's not good, it's not bad, it is a bottle of water. And the reality is I could drink this water and hydrate myself and stay alive, or I could take it and I could bludgeon you over the head till you're dead. Same bottle of water, right?
Yes.
Tool, how I'm using it is the question, right? And what's my intention with it is the question. And we are inside of these systems, right? We are inside of these systems that are indeed harmful, that are indeed violent, that are deadly at times, right? And the question is, how am I maneuvering in this system? Am I maneuvering with this tool and relating to it in the way that it was given to me, as a tool of domination, as a tool of harm, as a tool of subjugation? Or am I relating with it as a tool of replenishment, a tool of abundance, a tool that's going to keep me alive and my people alive?
Yes.
Yesterday, I was at the party with Colin. Hi, Colin, boo. And we were thirsty, and there was a long line, and I apologized to whoever I cut, because I totally cut the line. And I asked the lady for a bottle of water, and both of us, and Colin, being the awesome human that he is, he was cased it out. He was like, came back and said, Sonya, the line's all the way back there. And I said, I already got my bottle of water. And then I realized that I had not hooked up my friend who was thirsty casing the line. So I had to go back and grab a glass and share my water with Colin.
Yes.
That, I could have used that system, used his intel, skirted everybody, met my needs, and been like, good luck for you in your hydration. I could have, right? But in that moment, what I did was I got what I needed, and I also made sure that there was enough for who I was with, right?
Yes.
That's how we change the system.
Yes.
Because that's not how the system works currently. The system isn't like, get what you need and make sure that the people you love and everyone you care for are needed or taken care of. It's like, get what you need. Only you, right? And so I think we are constantly, us having a different mindset, us coming not from that system, coming from been broke.
Yes.
Coming from know what it is to be like, oh, that phone is off this month and it ain't coming back on till
Correct.
such and such a date.
Lights
when the
off,
direct
all
deposit
the
hit,
lights off.
and only if the $25 overdraft fee, don't take it first, right? We know that place. And so my whole relationship to this tool is different than an Elon Musk relationship to this.
Correct.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Right? And so we're building the system right now that is a different system than the one we've been indoctrinated into.
Yes. Exactly. Exactly. We are allowing ourselves to, and this is what I've always said, I believe in, I was asking my husband the name of the movie. What is it again, babe? Semi-Pro. Okay. Have y'all seen this Will Ferrell movie? Semi-Pro? It's hilarious. Go watch it. I mean, there's no point in it. It's just entertainment. But one of the things that Will Ferrell says in that movie is something that we say to each other all the time. ELE. ELE. And it means everybody love everybody, okay? Everybody love everybody. And I truly believe that. That is why I have gathered this diverse group of people and celebrate every identity here, because that is my job, right? And I believe this is I believe this is a biblical principle. I believe this is the cornerstone of many belief systems, right? It's all about us loving each other. And so how can we use this tool, right, this money tool, to love the people, right, as Myron says? How can we use it to, and we are the people. We are the people as well. Rachel, can you speak to that? Because I feel like this is your genius.
Yeah, one thing specifically around us being the people, I talk a lot about the anxiety that I felt in my career of making money and how I would move through the world, what it would mean for me, particularly what it means for me where in a world where I'm primarily seen as an activist in many spaces. And we have been taught that in order to be moral, you also have to not do well. You have to be struggling.
Yes.
We understand struggle to also equal morality, and I refuse to believe that or lean into that or live in that way. And a lot of my life's work, I feel, is to live well and let people see what that looks like, what that could be.
Yes.
And that can be my work too. And if you're familiar with my work at all, a lot of the beginning of how I showed up in the world was with a lot of energy and anger around race and racism and how I expected white women to show up within the feminist movement with a critical consideration of how race plays into it. And as I moved through life, I just decided that my work in liberation didn't have to look like the fight. It could look like the care and tending to Black women.
Yes.
Instead of just being
Exactly.
against something else. And as I moved through my career, being able to get a book deal, being able to start my company and really start to have wealth and be able to use it in a way, I have a friend, Ebony Janice Moore, who often I would call her and I would express to her my anxieties. And she would say, Rachel, who are you doing this work for? And I'd say, well, the liberation of Black women. And she goes, are you a Black woman? And I was like, yes. And she goes, well, you're doing your work. Like,
Yes.
I am the Black woman. I am trying to continue to heal and liberate.
Yes.
And that can be an answer to it as well. And so I think that in my work, speaking to the ethics of it, the idea of how do I fit into it, I had to make a decision very early that either I was going to stick to the very rigid, very honorable structure of activism where you completely dismiss and live off the grid of the system you are trying to dismantle. I know many people who do, and I honor it, but I realized that there was something about my interests, my skills, my talent that allowed me to play the game, but to win for my team.
Yes.
And so that is how I have been having to move through this world of business. It is the worst ethically. It's so funny, Rachel, because so many people, when I told them I was coming to this conference, they're like, so explain it again? Like they really didn't understand that I wasn't at an activist conference. And I had to explain why this was the stage that also is applicable for me to be on. These are also my people.
Yes.
Because this is actually a particular group, like we are our team that we're fighting for.
Yes.
On this
Exactly.
game. So these skills that you're learning, these relationships that you're having, these systems that we're creating to do well and to be well in our business, yes, it's within this ridiculous game of capitalism, but I'm going to learn every single rule and I'm going to be the best player and bring all the trophies home to care for my community.
Yes, exactly. Yes. So like, you know, if you're going to go do important work for your team, right, or a community, you're going to bring some tools, right? Maybe you need a laptop for this, or maybe you need, you know, a backpack that has, you know, a hammer in it. I remember I went to Ecuador in the Andes Mountains on a missions trip many years ago when I was like 19 or 20, and I was on the rooftop of a building, right, building a school, right, building classrooms, and we literally were laying bricks. So I was like churning concrete, and I had tools to do that, right? So this is another tool that you can bring, right, for whatever causes you care about for the liberation of your people, right? And the other part of it is, too, is you don't actually have to do that. Do you have to start a nonprofit? No, right? Do you have to use all of your money to, you know, give to other people? No, because that's the other problem that we have. We make money and then we feel undeserving of enjoying it, right? Who here struggles to enjoy the money that they have? Yes, a lot of y'all, okay? Exactly, because you feel like, oh, if I earn it, the only way to be in relationship with it is to give it away.
I'm only worthy.
Yes.
I'm only worthy if I give it away.
Exactly.
Right? Actually, I'm only known, and this is not any different than what you just said, which is I'm as good as what I do for other people.
Yes.
That's your why. And if that's your why, you're going to stay broke. You can make $1 bazillion trillion and you're going to stay broke. Because your why is I am only good as what I give away.
Yes.
As opposed to I am good.
Yeah.
Yes.
Period.
Period. End of story.
Period.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Yes.
And when you can be inside of that understanding, then you get to enjoy whatever it is that comes to you, and you will be led authentically and organically to whatever else it is you're supposed to do.
Yes.
And maybe that is give it all away. I'm not saying it. I'm a person who lives a kind of life where spiritually I'm told to give away shit all the time. Like, oh, you had a beautiful house, Sonya, give all that shit away. And when I was first received that message, this is me having a conversation with my ancestors in real time. I said, can I sell it? And they said, do you need the money? And I was like, I don't appreciate the read, ancestors, fine. and I proceeded to give away everything I had, but it wasn't because if I give it away, I'm a better person. If I give it away, that's how I know I'm good. Or whereas some of the amassing it was definitely, oh, because I have this fly-ass $10,000 pink velvet couch, what does that say about me?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And so again, we've got stories attached to the thing,
Yes.
the money, right? We have stories attached to it, and then the stories play out. If you can get to your story and you can rewrite a story that is authentic and true to your actual divine, good enough self,
Yes.
you will find so much freedom in the ways in which you get to move with money. You'll be blown away.
Yes, exactly, exactly. Why are you the only one who doesn't deserve it, right? If you're giving away everything, why, like, to your point, why is your labor not worthy, right? Why are you not worthy to have ease and have joy and be cared for, right? And the other thing that I want to say to you is, if you are a wealthy person, right, in this room, right, then that means that you are somebody who is from a historically excluded background. And because of that, you having wealth is radical in and of itself.
Yes.
It is abnormal.
Yes.
Okay, it is not what we see in society on a regular basis.
Yeah.
And so just you having it, you pulling up to your nice house and the little girl next door sees that, is like, oh my God, like I can have that too because my neighbor Susie has it, right? Right, like my neighbor has it, so I can do it, right? So just being an example. I know all the time what happens at our house, babe. The Uber driver pulls up to our house, or the person delivering food pulls up to our house, and we open the door because they were not expecting us. Sometimes there's little black children that go peek in the window and they're like, where am I at? Am I in the right place? And we open this big old door and they're like, what you do for a living? Is the first thing out their mouth.
Yeah.
I'm like, I need to have cards ready, like at the front door and be like, here, go read that. Here, here's a copy of my book.
That's fine. I'll sign it for
Every
you.
Uber driver gets a book. I love it.
I love a signed copy
Every
of the book.
Amazon driver gets a book. Yes.
Rachel,
Listen to this podcast, okay? And then come back, okay? I'll help you after that.
Rachel, I want to say that the conversation that we were having, and that's a perfect example, that you're living in the same house as these white men or whoever it is that's living there and whatever it is that they're doing, but you're doing something different with what you have.
Yes.
And our idea of money, what we understand, what we learned, what we perhaps trust, is the idea of money that was conceptualized and offered to us by white men. And what I would do with money, what I do with money, what Rachel does with money, what Sandra does with money, what all of you do with money is different. We are not doing the same. We are not the same.
Yes, we are not the same.
We're not the same.
With my money, with my big house, I'm gathering many wonderful women who will inspire each other and change the world.
Yes.
That's not what they're doing in their big house. And so I don't have to compare myself and feel their guilt that they're carrying with what I'm doing with my money. And I feel very, very grateful for the career that I have, and to be witness to the careers like Sonya's, like Rachel's, that really remind me that living well can be the work, and that living well can be the way that we show up in the world, because it is an opportunity for us to reimagine the world, reimagine what it looks like, what it feels like. And we were talking about it backstage, but I talk a lot about ease. How I have every intention to live an easeful life, about how it is a high value of mine and what I put into how I exist in the world. But it's what we call at my company a rigorous ease. It's an ease that requires us to do the work on ourselves, to build the systems that will allow us to flow easily, to do the work to build relationships that will ensure that we have like powerful collaborations. It's a rigorous ease that is rooted in, I know how I want to live in the world, I know how I want to feel in the world, and I know how I want to bring other people in my community with me to live well, to live easefully, to live in abundance. And so that type of purpose, I'm not looking for an easy life. I'm looking for a life that is easeful, and the way that things are easeful is when I know I'm doing it with my values and with my purpose.
Yeah.
You all woke up early. It's not fun to wake up early for work, but you wake up early to come to the conference because this is in your values. You're happy, you're here. So it's not that things are always hard, it's just you're not in your lane. And so when you are in your lane, when you say, here are my values, here's how I'm deciding to move through my day, I'm ready to show up, I'm ready to be bold, I'm ready to take risks because I'm doing it in my values and for my community.
Yes, absolutely. I actually think that money allows you to live in your values more.
Yeah.
Right? Like you get to create spaces like this. This took a lot of money, my friend.
Cost points.
Okay? You see these velvet couches? They were not free. You see all these people working in here, they're all getting paid.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
You see these branded water bottles?
Yep.
Come on, branded water bottles.
You see this fabulous stage? Because that is what you deserve. That is what you deserve.
Yes.
And the only way I can give that to you is if I focus on money and make sure that I make it, right? So I can create spaces that are worthy of you, okay?
One of the things that I want to point out, though, that I think is true of both Rachels, right? And in general, though, is that there is an order of operations that works, which is that you did what you were called to do.
Yes.
You did what lit your heart up. You did what you were aligned with. You followed what was true for you.
Yes.
And as a result, all the abundance needed to live into that came to you.
Yes.
Right? And so part of the reason sometimes I find that we're like, right, we get fixated in the money conversation because we think it's about the money.
Right.
And again, I'm going to go back to the money is a tool.
Yes.
Right? If you are in alignment with your soul's calling, if you are in alignment with what it is that you incarnated on this planet at this time to do, you will be given all the resources that you need to do it, plus some, with ease, with joy.
Yes.
Right? Your job was to create beautiful spaces to remind people that they can have all of the abundance it is that they are due.
Yes.
Right? And so you need a life that reflects that so that that can happen. I realize, and I'm one of those people, you know, I come from an activist, nonprofit. That was my whole life for all my life, right? And I had a real tense relationship with money. I was very much like, money is bad, it's the system, right?
That was the first conversation we
Yeah,
had.
fucking system.
Ooh. Listen.
How do I, but I also have a company and they ain't making no money, right? It's like, right, well, because it's the system, bitch. And it occurred over a series of lessons that I've received in the last 3 years. One of the things that's come really clear, right, is that things come to me, and this is, again, a larger spiritual principle, which is things come to me, and I can have anything I'm willing to not be attached to. Because attachment is a story about not enough.
Totally.
Right?
And we should talk about that.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So attachment is a story about not enoughness. And so every time I'm attached to something, life is like, get that out of here, because you're attached. And what I realized is I am allowed to have as much as I am willing to be unattached to. And when I realized that, I was like, then why would I ever have a limit? Because all that happens is I'm told, I receive something, I'm unattached, and then it passes through me and goes out to someone else, right? So if indeed that is the lesson that Spirit has been giving me, why would I have a cap on how much it is that I could receive?
Hello.
Right? Why would I be like, if making more than $2 million makes me a bad person? If I'm unattached.
That's a made-up number.
Right,
like, why? Why 2 million?
Why 2 million? Exactly. And I was like, oh, because I have a story about what makes a good person and what makes a bad person, right?
That part.
And it's based on a random tool, right?
Yes.
As opposed to everything that passes through you, you know, Sonya, is here to inspire and improve the lives of the collective. So why would you put a cap on how much can pass through you?
Yes.
Why would you do that?
Why would you do
So now
that?
I'm finna have $1 bazillion.
Yes. Listen. And I'm finna watch you do it and cheer you on.
Be happy about it. I want to be happy about it.
Right. And it's gonna flow through me and it's gonna flow onto everything it is that I love and that I touch, because that's what I'm here to do.
Yes, absolutely. I love it so much. Listen, there's something about that attachment, because I've been talking about this recently with my husband, that it's weird. It's like you get a certain amount of money and then you're like, I actually don't need or want anything. It's like I have all the money in the world to buy things and I actually don't want anything. It's like, what do you want for Christmas? Nothing. What could I possibly, you know what I want? I want to sit on the couch with my babies and my husband in front of the fireplace in our matching jammies and do nothing. That's what I would love to do, right? Like, because it actually, when you actually get to free your brain up from worrying about money every day, and get to free up that space that is worried about the next bill and feels bad about spending money on a hotel room, like I know so many of you experience, right, coming here, because it feels uncomfortable to treat yourself because you're not doing it enough, you know? It's like when you can free your brain up from worrying about paying bills, right, then you get to really know yourself. you get to really find out, what do you actually care about? Your needs are met. You got all this free brain space now that you can use for creative ideas, that you can use to serve yourself and others, right? And so then you get to have peace, and then you get to decide, like, do I even want anything else? Right? And so, and something that people ask me all the time is, you know, Rachel, when will it be enough? Like, don't you have enough money, right? Do you get that question?
I do.
Yes. Is anybody asking Jeff Bezos that question? I'm just curious. Or is it just us? Is it just the Rachels that they want to know?
Just the Rachels.
That's a question for them.
It's just for us, right?
Yes.
And I tell them, it will never be enough. I will get as much money as I possibly can, because I don't know if you noticed, but I'm black. Okay?
Yep, it's mine to have.
I am black, and my people need things, and as long as my people need things, I will keep making money. Period, end of story. So, that's that on that.
But I love that the answer to when will you have enough is when we all have enough.
Yes, that's it. That's it. That is it.
That's the answer.
Yes.
That's summary wrap up.
That's
I
it.
see you do that summary.
It all comes back to enough,
Uh-huh.
right? Because the conversation is not really about money. Like you said,
It's
money
not.
is just a tool
Yeah.
that's loaded, right? We've learned all these things about it, and so we attach all
Yes.
these stories to it. But money is not about that. It's really about yourself, who you are, and
how
your
you want to show
worthiness.
up. This brought up a memory. I remember when I didn't have much money, I was a nanny in Harlem, and I'm having this memory right now, sitting at the kitchen table, writing down what I would do with money when I get it.
Yes.
And I remember on the list was one of my really good friends. She had just had a breakup, and I wished so bad that I could send her a huge thing of flowers. Like, I just wished that I had the money to easily just send that to her. And I take so much joy in now being able to send flowers or do anything as often as possible. But it was just now a reminder that getting the money wasn't about the money. It was about being in relationship with my friend in a way that I could care with her. It was being able to, take care of my mother in the way that I took care of her, being able to take care of myself in the way that I want to take care of myself. And I think that when we really make those considerations, making a list of what would I do with the money, not how much money do I want, not, how big can things get, but like, what do you want to do with it? How do you want to feel with it? How do you want to use it as a tool in your community? You might surprise yourself, one, that you might be there in a lot of ways already, and two, that again, like you said, it doesn't matter the like container that gets you there, because you'll always have ideas. I think one thing I have to say, because I've been thinking about it so much, is that we get so caught up in the narrative of our one passion, our one thing, the work that will define us. And I have had to decide that the work that defines me are all of the things that I love. I can't depend on leaving a legacy of one thing. They say choose a thing and be good at it. I'm good at doing a lot of wonderful things, and I will continue to do that. And so my legacy is in getting the tools to care for my family, getting the tools to give ease and joy and abundance to myself. And I hope that we continue to do that to reflect that in each other. I think our conversation, we've reflected so much. I've seen so much thinking about how you're moving, you said to move through you, this idea that this lack of attachment also to what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm supposed to be well, however that looks at any point in time.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. I love that. And one note for y'all, because I know y'all think that gives you permission to now offer 12,000 things that we talk about all the time.
Only if you have as many Sagittarius placements as Rachel Cargle. Otherwise, no.
But what I want to point out about your journey, Rachel, is you did one thing for a while.
Yes.
You committed to one thing for a while, right? Like, you were touring and lecturing and educating. And that's actually what allowed you to do a lot of things.
I'm happy for this asterisk, and I'm going to give you all a rundown of that. And you'll read about this in my book that's coming out in May. I knew that this was the type of life. For a while, I'd been thinking about how I wanted to feel. I think it might have been a conversation from maybe like Kate Northrup or Brene Brown type of space where they're like, how do you want to feel? And I was like, actually, I think that is the way that I want to consider it, because there's not a lot of things I want to do, yes. But there's definitely things I want to feel.
Yes.
And so I had been thinking about that for quite a while. And when I got divorced and I started to make my own money and had to decide how do I want to feel, I studied a lot of Beyonce, I studied a lot of Oprah to see how they did things, and I was very inspired with how they had a company that gave them the space to do all the things that they wanted to do. They weren't just kind of hopping around, they built a structure, and then within that structure, they did the things that they wanted to do. So I have notes from 2013 where I mapped out what an umbrella company would look like and then how all of my ventures could fit into that, because I already knew I wasn't the type to just do one thing. So I needed a structure that was in alignment with my wants, desires, and values. And so my company, the Loveland Group, holds my bookstore, it holds The Great Unlearn, it holds my personal writing and speaking appearances, and it has space for anything else. I want to open a laundromat that caters to families. There's all these things that I want to do. And so me knowing myself, being in relationship to myself and my money made me realize that I'm going to have to do it this way. So my first thing when I started making money lecturing, I hired a team. I had a complete C-suite that I hired. I am not my CEO. I have a CEO.
First, I just need y'all to know no one does that, right? Okay? Like, listen, you are such a boss, because it's so rare. Y'all won't even hire assistants, okay?
She done hired a CEO.
Like, my first hire is going to be the CEO of this empire that I'm about to build. Okay, that is stepping out on real faith, and I love that about you.
It was certainly stepping out on faith, but I knew that was going to get me to how I wanted to feel, and I had to detach from my ego, trust that other people knew what they were doing, and my C-suite is still my C-suite, and I'm able to do the different things that I want to do, and that was a huge point. So that's the asterisk. All the things that I want to do exist in a very thought out structure that serves others, pays people, and gives me the space to do so.
I love it.
Yes.
I love it. I also love that you were very, like sometimes we see these, larger than life personas, Oprah, Beyonce, and we see them as exactly that, just larger than life. And you saw them as possibility markers.
Absolutely. I love you bringing that up, because it's a story that I don't get to tell often. When I was in college, my wall was papered with like Michelle Obama, Beyonce, Oprah, and like people would come over to like hang out with me, or like guys, and they'd be like, why am I having sex with you under Michelle Obama?
She co-signs this.
She co-signs things.
I'm only giving it up to people she co-signs.
If Michelle tells you to leave, you have to go.
You gotta go.
But I remember telling the exact language that I used. I said, oh, these are my peers.
Yes.
I said that way back in college.
Yes.
Way back in college, I said, I'm getting familiar with my peers.
Yes.
I did. I said, that's so fun. I haven't thought about that in so long. But that really is the idea that I had. I felt like they were guiding me. They weren't competition. They're not something, and I can disagree with them. They're not actually even my guideposts. They're just reminders of what's possible. Yes. And I felt like I would and this was in 2007.
Yes.
So I felt like I was, something about them was also in me. I believed it. Like I truly believed it. And thank you for bringing that up. That's so
it's such a good point. It's belief, right? Like, how much do you think you can do, right? What do you believe in your vision and ideas? Do you truly believe in them enough, right, to fuel them, to acquire the tool that will fuel them? And one of those very important tools is money, right? And one of the first conversations we had, when we first met, we spoke at an event, Chelsea's event, and she's somewhere in here. In Bloomington, Indiana is where we met, in a basement, getting our makeup done, okay?
Where I told you look like Marsha Ambrosia.
Yes.
From Poetry.
Yes. And then after we sat down and you shared, I remember you shared your cinnamon roll with me. She shares a lot, y'all. I love that about you. Yes, and we sat down and you were like, okay, let's talk about money, right? And we had a conversation. And you were like, okay, but I make I make a lot of money speaking, and like, should I be making more? Or right, we have this whole conversation, and I was like, okay, so here's the part that I have a problem with. all right? Like, I understand the anti-capitalist movement, and I agree with it, right? And I have a problem with now it's unpopular to make money or it's bad to make money because now black people is getting money. So now that all of us, right, now that people of color and black people are getting money, now it's bad to make money? No, sorry, I don't subscribe to that. I disagree.
Nope.
Hard no for me.
Yeah, no. Because what I want is exactly what you're experiencing, Rachel, right? And you as well, right? You have created lives for yourself. Like, you live in multiple places, both of you. You write books, right? You're able to see your creative ideas come out into the world, and that takes money to make that happen. And that is what I want for all of you, right? To have the fuel that you need to see your creativity come out into the world, right? Because it's gonna make the world a better place.
Period.
Period.
Yeah.
Trust that and believe it, and it's already starting to happen, right? Like, I saw, did y'all see that New York Times article about that restaurant Noma? It's like world famous. I think it's in Denmark somewhere. And, you know, they do, like, they plate the food on wood, and like, it's all like these ingredients are like plucked from a special plant, and it's like so complicated and so fancy, right? And it's like world renowned, and people travel just to go eat at this place. However, what's happening in the kitchen is that they have all these interns working in like terrible hours for free. They have, you know, a staff that they cannot pay, right, like enough that is worthy of their work, right? And so the system is broken. In order to produce this beautiful meal, they have to have a whole lot of people lose. And I think that is what we are saying we are challenging. This idea that you can only have a successful economic engine, a successful business if we win as the founders and owners, and everybody else, our clients lose, definitely employees lose for sure, right? Like the team actually producing the results, they definitely lose. Maybe clients lose, vendors lose, like people in the community lose. And so that's, you know, that's the system that we are accustomed to, and that's what this world-renowned restaurant is doing. And they decided they are closing their doors, right? Because they literally cannot produce the result that they're trying to produce at the price that they're trying to sell it at, or that consumers will pay, and still pay their people well. And so it's closing. And to me, that was a signal.
Yeah.
That was a signal. We are creating a new world, right? And the business isn't over. They're just reimagining themselves as a pop-up kitchen and producing consumer goods, right? And so there's a world where they still can do their beautiful work, but they refuse to do it anymore in a way that doesn't serve their employees and their team, right? And so this is why I always say raise your prices. Why do you think I raised my prices? So I could pay a 401k.
Yeah.
That's why I have to raise my prices. This work, it costs a lot to produce, right? And so you gotta pay more, right? So this new world, we are creating it. We are creating a new economic system, and it needs you. It literally needs you. It needs you to make more money.
Yeah.
It needs you to make more money so that you can bring your ideas into fruition and people can see examples of how we can do it. Rachel, you are being an example, right? We're all being examples of what's possible. And for that to exist, for people to see that, you have to say yes to your ideas. You have to say yes to your vision. You have to have faith like Rachel Cargle, okay? Because that woman believes, okay?
Part of what you're raising is like they closed because they couldn't do it in right relationship.
Yes.
Right? It was
that
like,
part.
I can't be in right relationship with this idea and with all the people that it takes to bring this idea into the world, which means it's not a right idea.
Yes.
And sometimes we have to get honest with ourselves.
Yeah.
You can have the just biggest pie in the sky. This is so amazing.
Yes.
This thing needs to come to the world. And this is the world we've been living in. This thing needs to come to the world and be damned who it harms in the process.
Yes.
The thing is more important than the people.
Yes.
And what we're seeing right now as we shift timelines literally into the age of Aquarius, is we are seeing
You're welcome.
a timeline, right? We are seeing a world where we are like, the idea is never more than the people that it takes to bring it into the world.
Yes.
It cannot be. Right?
I have to reflect in this particular conversation. Change requires dreaming.
Yes.
Change requires fantasy. Change requires reimagining. And part of my work, part of your work, part of the work that we have done is taking the time to rest and dream up new things.
Yes.
And if we're constantly just trying to figure out this system we're trying to win at, we will not give ourselves the time to even build out something new that we're going towards. And I have folded into my work in many ways the intention and opportunity for resting and dreaming and fantasizing and saying, what could be possible if?
Yes.
And it is required. It's a necessary ingredient for change to happen is taking the time to dream. So I want to encourage you, as you're seeing people on stages, as you're meeting people over meals, as you're walking past people in the hallway, in conversation, fantasize together, dream together, imagine and say, oh wait, what if it looked different? What if it felt different? Because those seeds are going to be what you will recognize when you see it.
Yep.
Yeah.
I say in my career often, when I built out what I wanted my company to look like, I said I wanted a CEO, a COO, and a financial person. And when I came up with my foundation, I said, okay, this is what I wanted to look and feel like. And what that meant was when I was out in the world, I saw them. I recognized them when I saw them because I had already decided what it would be.
Yes.
It's kind of like when you say you want a red car and you see them all the time on the highway all of a sudden. You all of a sudden recognize all the red cars. I recognized all of the people who would be part of the world I was building.
Yes.
And so I had to dream it. If I hadn't dreamt it, I would just kind of blindly be going and seeing where I ended up. I don't do that. I don't see where I end up. I decide where I end up, and I invite and find the people who will go there, who are already going there with me.
Yes.
And so I really hope you all take the opportunity to dream and fantasize with each other so that you can continue to recognize what's yours when you see it.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So beautiful.
There are two sort of frameworks of people who are holding the exact kind of framework you're talking about that I want to offer to you all as places to start. In Adrienne Marie Brown's book, Octavia's Brood, one of the things they say in it is all organizing is science fiction. And the idea is that everything it is that we are creating is a function of this experience of what I call the liberatory imagination. Can I see myself as free? What are the material realities that look like inside of freedom? And then how do I begin to move in that way so that when we see the exit as we're driving, we don't miss it?
Yeah.
Oh, I know what freedom looked like. I saw that sign already. That's me. This is our exit.
Absolutely.
Right? So you already know that. And then Tricia Hershey's work around the Nap Ministry, which is about rest as a revolutionary act. Rest as our birthright and as the way in which we create the energetic space to make the new world. Right? And if we're not doing those things, then all we're going to do is continue to live inside of the imagination of white, straight, old men. Right? And we've been living inside their imaginations for centuries.
For many long.
I'm tired. I don't know about y'all. I'm bored. I need a new show.
Please, anything.
So I need y'all to go to sleep so you can imagine the new world.
Get some sleep, y'all.
Yes.
And if you haven't read the book, Rest is a Revolution, right?
Rest as Resistance.
Rest as Resistance, sorry. You should read it. And one of the first things she says is she's talking about, the first thing people say is she's telling them nap, rest, get some sleep. The first thing people say is, well, how can I work and pay my bills and rest? And it's yes, that's the problem.
Right.
That you think that the only way that you can build wealth or that you can take care of your family is to never rest, right? No, let's reject that idea. And let's create a new way of being and a new way of making money that allows for rest, allows for spaciousness, and allows for bills to be paid, right, and needs to be met. We don't have to live in the either-or society anymore, right? We can choose that we want both, right? And it's so funny because so many of the people a lot of the speakers that you are going to see who are wealthy people, who have, had very successful businesses, almost all of them work part-time. Literally, almost all of them work part-time.
I just told you backstage. So I did the Tamron Hall show last week, and I love her, and she's wonderful, and it was great. And all of my family was like, "Oh, Sonya, you're natural. You should definitely do that job." And I was like, "She has a job. She gotta get up at 4 a.m. and don't be off till 4 p.m. job, and I'm not calling that into my life.
Listen,
I got 3 to 4 hours a day, and then I plan to do whatever I want to do as opposed to what I have to do, and that's how I've constructed my life.
Yes, so much of freedom is about time.
Yes.
It's about time, and that's one of the things that money creates, right? Like then I used to do, I think about it now, I have a team of 30 full-time employees, right? I used to do everybody's job.
Everybody's job.
Like how many times has my husband like gone to sleep, woke up in the morning, I'm still at the computer building a landing page because I don't know what I'm doing. But I gotta launch this thing in the morning, y'all. Literally. And so like I used to do the jobs of 30 people, right? Like and that was necessary in the early days, but as soon as you have the ability, you can hire help. And then not only hire help, but accept help.
Yes.
Accept help.
Yes, and I think another language for that is offer an opportunity for someone to come into this world you're building. That you hiring someone is offering them an opportunity to join you on your way to that exit that you're saying, because I know all the people I worked for. I was a personal assistant for a long time. I was a nanny, a live-in nanny for a very long time, and I really saw every job as an opportunity. So when I hire people on, I say, where are you going with this? You don't have to work for me forever. What class? Who can I introduce you to? How can you come into my world to head to where you're going? You're really offering an opportunity for someone.
Exactly.
On top of paying them, which is the opportunity as well.
Yes. That has been one of my favorite things about building a company and building wealth, is that I can create a workplace that I never had, right? This is why I became an entrepreneur after law school, because that workplace that I could be joyful and peaceful at did not exist.
Absolutely.
And so I had to create it for myself and others, right? And so that's one of the things that you get to do, right? When you build your businesses and when you follow your dreams. So I want to encourage you to do that. Any closing words that you want to share with folks, Rachel and Sonya?
I'll go first. I just hope you all indulge in this opportunity. I think it's so beautiful to be reflected, to be recognized, to be centered and celebrated. And it is these types of gatherings that sustain us and nourish us. And so I hope you have the confidence. The speaker yesterday who mentioned, like, just imagine, just like pretend you're that person you want to be, pretend you're in that space. Language that I've used to self-soothe and to give myself confidence is, Rachel, just for today. You don't have to be this all the time. You don't have to be this in every situation, but just for today, show up with the type of energy, the type of influence, the type of intention that you want to. So I encourage you all to take all of the days of this conference and be that person just for today.
Yeah,
I love that. I love
so
that.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I just want to say that every story of scarcity is a lie. Every story that you've ever told yourself about how you're not enough, how you won't have enough, all of it is a lie. And when you remove that story of scarcity, what's left is a space to be an abundant vessel of possibility for yourself and for everything you touch. And you deserve that, and we deserve that. So stop holding it back from us and stop holding it back from you.
Yes. And on that note, we're going to close it out there, y'all. Thank you so much. This is amazing.
Thank you.
Hey, do you enjoy money? I do. If you want to make more money, then you need to join We Should All Be Millionaires, the club. Go to hello7.co/club to see everything you get once you become a member. hello7.co/club. In the club, we teach you how to maximize your earning potential, how to make better financial and business decisions, how to set up systems so that you're building wealth over time. We keep you focused on your financial and business goals, and we do fun activities throughout the year to keep you motivated. During our last money-making challenge, our club members earned a grand total of $3,519,262.66. Okay? $3.5 million as a community. That's a lot of money, y'all. If you want to get in on this, go to hello7.co/club and become a member.